to this week's episode of Millennial Money. Yes, I am wearing exactly the same outfit as last week. That's because I've recorded it on exactly the same day, because right now I'm actually skiing. So this week we decided to talk about ISAs, what is an ISA, and then Damien's going to talk about the difference between a savings account and an ISA. So Damien, what is an ISA, and please break this down.
I love the fact I'm learning so much about millennials, because you really care about the fact that people notice that you're in the same clothes.
They will notice.
I've had people point this out to me, like my wife, and actually I quite frankly don't care. Before we go on, Lauren got stopped in, what shop was it?
Primark, of all places.
Primark, by one of your viewers saying, "Are you Lauren from Money to the Masses?" So there you go, and one millennial stopping another millennial, and there was no avocados involved.
We weren't
or
eating
lattes.
avocados.
No, see, there you go. They do things other than avocados, apparently.
Yeah.
But what is an ISA? Now, this is a question that we get asked a lot. And an ISA is basically, think of it like a box. It stands for an individual savings account. So there are lots of different types of ISAs, which we'll come on to. Some that help you buy a house, there's help to buy ISAs, stocks and shares ISAs, junior ISAs, cash ISAs. For this video, we're going to just focus on cash ISAs. So all you've got to think is that a cash ISA is like a box, a savings account, where if you put money into it, it will remain, everything interest you get on it will be tax-free, and it will be tax-free forever. And now there's a limit to how much you can put in a year, because there is that tax advantageous status, which is £20,000 a year at the moment. So it's basically a box, you chuck money into it, the tax man can't get at it. That's what it does.
Okay, so then what's the difference? If I had a lump sum of money and I wanted to save, and bearing in mind, in regards to this particular cash ISAs, we're not talking about saving for a house. It'll be the short-term kind of things, like I'm saving for a holiday or saving for a rainy day. So if I had this money that I wanted to put away and save for some day in the future, do I put it in a cash ISA or in a savings account? And what's the difference between the two?
Right, it's a good question, because like I said, the cash ISA is a box, a savings account, where money is, any interest you earn on your money is tax-free forever. A savings account, technically the money is taxed, the interest is taxed. So you put your money in there, any interest you get on top of that is subject to income tax. Now, years ago, that was always the way. All of that interest was subject to some form of income tax. But then over the years, they changed the rules. So what happened is the first £1,000 of interest you earn, so that's interest, bearing in mind that interest rates are so low, that's quite a big lump of sum you're going to have in a savings account to get £1,000 a year. That first £1,000, if you're a basic rate taxpayer, would be free of tax anyway. It's called the savings allowance. And if you're a 40% taxpayer, that's halved to £500. And if you are a 45% taxpayer, you don't get one. Let's be honest, you're rich enough. So you can see that what the difference between a savings account and a cash ISA is that a cash ISA, your interest is tax-free forever. With a savings account, it's tax-free to a point. And once you start earning more than £1,000 a year, then you are taxed on everything above that. So when you talk about what you're saving for, if it was like a short term, maybe a rainy day, you might look at a savings account, because you're probably not going to get an amount in your cash ISA that's big enough to generate more than £1,000 a year. And there's also a quirk, and again, this is a historical thing, but the savings rates on savings accounts tend to be more generous than they are on cash ISAs. So for you, you'd go and look which was giving you the best rate. Was there a great cash ISA out there that was giving you a really good rate, or a savings account, and then pick which one you wanted to go to based on that. Now, the idea of cash ISAs, why they are still relevant, because some people thought, well, with the savings rate, are they even relevant anymore? They are if you're trying to build something over time. So if you were going to have a lot of money spare every year, and I know the allowance is 20 grand, let's say we had 20 grand a year, and there are people who do spare, they will put that into a cash ISA year on year. And what that means is that over time, there are people out there who have as much as £1 million in a cash ISA. Basically, like this box, this savings account, the taxman can't touch. And therefore, all of that interest they earn will be free of income tax. Whereas if they put all that money in a savings account, you could see that what would happen, they'd get a certain amount a year, up to £1,000 savings allowance free of any income tax, but the rest of the interest they earn would be subject to tax. So it's really, the difference is free forever with a cash ISA in terms of tax-free forever, that is, or on a savings account, there's a limit. But as ever, go to moneytothemasses.com where you can find out even more information in much more detail.
And as ever, if you have any questions or anything you want me to ask Damien, email me lauren@moneytothemasses.com, or send me a message on our social media sites, so our Facebook at Money to the Masses, our Instagram at Money to the Masses, or our Twitter, Money to the Masses with the number 2. Also, please subscribe to our YouTube channel.
The light's gone. We look very grey now, do we?
It looks sullen.
You're not supposed to say that. You're meant to say, no, it looks good. Damien, your eyes look sunken.
You look tired.
Damien, you look as tired as you feel.
Yeah.